Statewide, nationwide, we are back on the Buffalo Rumblings Network for another episode of Line to Gain. I am the big O, Jerry Ostroski in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sara Larson is my co-host. She's down in sunny, beautiful Miami, as you can tell by the shirt, which I think is kind of a passive-aggressive shot at people that kind of make a comment about her Miami gear that she tends to
Not at
wear all the
all.
time. So,
It's my
yes, it is
my
not
hurricane.
Miami Heat gear, but it is Miami gear nonetheless.
It
So,
is. It is
we got a
Miami
lot to talk.
Hurricanes.
Exactly, we got a lot to talk about. She's a proud alum of the University of Miami, but we've got a lot to talk about today. Spence will join us here in a little bit. Spence the King, he's just wrapping up the chop up. He'll be on to talk a little bit of the Wall of Fame in the new stadium and who will be the next player added to that Wall of Fame.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that amongst other things. And Sara has a really jam-packed show for us today. Sara, what do you got?
Yeah. So just kind of some questions that keep on getting thrown out on social media and on the Buffalo Bills Stampede. It's a group that I have on Facebook. So if you guys aren't a part of it, go ahead and subscribe to that. But someone asked probably a couple weeks ago, with all the new additions and extensions, and there's been quite a bit more now over the last couple weeks. Who do you feel right now has been the key of our offseason, either extension or acquisition? And then what piece do you feel is still missing at this point?
I think probably for me, the biggest acquisition would be the Puna Ford pickup. Not only because of the type of player that I think he is, the fact we needed another run stuffer, a big guy inside to secure the middle of our line of scrimmage, but also what it cost us. It didn't cost us that much money. Ford decided to take less money for culture, for a chance to win. And, those are all great signs. When you start having veteran players come in willing to take less money to be a part of the culture that you built as a franchise and also the opportunity to win, those are big things. I think New England feasted upon that for many, many years with top-level veteran free agents, maybe guys that aren't quite what they used to be, but they're still very, very productive. You put them in a proper role. And I think the Ford signing was huge. I think obviously the two areas that there's three areas that I see, even though we did sign multiple offensive linemen, I still wonder a little bit about our tackle depth. Also, I think our middle linebackers, our linebacking core is unproven. Even though I love Williams, I think he's going to be a great player. We still have Milano. We have some other guys that have been backups that need to prove themselves. I think there's still a little bit of question marks at that linebacker spot. And then also our safeties. I think if you look on paper, our safeties are tremendously talented players. They're also getting tremendously old. They've had injury issues as of late. And can we stay healthy in that secondary in the safety spot? I think those three areas are our biggest concerns going into this season.
I'm going to disagree when it comes to the safeties. I feel like, Hyde took a year off basically to recoup from his injury. I think we have to look back and I know that we've talked about it a lot that Hyde and Poyer have, they both weren't starters for the first 4 years of their career. So I'm not really worried about them. Poyer and McGovern are actually my two key players that I feel is going to make the biggest impact outside of Puna Ford. So one cool thing, if anyone hasn't heard, Puna Ford's great grandmother actually lives in the east side of Buffalo. So I think it's really cool to know that there's reasons why he really wanted to come to Buffalo, right. And he took the less, amount of money, and he has ties here. He said he's been going to Buffalo since he was, a kid. So that's pretty cool. But I think that Poyer to me is the one extension that bringing him back, it won't really call it an extension. It was bringing him back. I think is going to make a big deal just because him and Hyde together just have this chemistry that I'm glad we don't have to move on from this year. I'm glad we get to, kind of keep status quo. You could tell how much it affected him last year not being able to play with him. And then McGovern is my other one that I want to say is a key signing. Hopefully, I think that he is going to make the line better on paper. I think that, the way that Saffold was last year was, not it was not pretty. So I think that even if McGovern can just be a little bit better than Saffold was, then he'll be one of the biggest keys of the offseason. The piece that I still think we miss, I'm still a little worried about wide receiver. I think that we're better again on paper, but I'm still not ready to call Davis our consistent number two.
I think the thing, in going back to the safety play, I'm not questioning ability. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm questioning ability. I think these guys are proven all pro players. But when you start getting to 10 years, 11 years, like we are with these guys, and the way our safeties play in this defense, they have to play a tremendously physical style of play. We ask them to do a lot. We ask them to come down into the box. We ask them to make a lot of tackles. That's what makes me nervous as far as those two guys go. And it's just the accumulation of plays over a long career. I mean, yes, if they can stay healthy, this is arguably one of the best, if not the best, safety tandems in the league. But you really have to question over the last few years the amount of injuries that these guys have accumulated. Right. That's what makes me nervous. So at no point was this ever a question mark of ability. It's more a question mark of durability. So hopefully they can stay healthy and complete the season.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the comments are talking about the addition of Rapp, which I said from the very moment we got him, this is going to be one of the best signings. Maybe not necessarily this year, but a lot of people are saying he's auditioning for the future. And I think that that's exactly what he's doing. I think he will, eventually be the person who replaces either Poyer or Hyde. Poyer's technically there for 2 more years. But I don't see Poyer wanting to play for 1 more year if Hyde leaves or if we win a Super Bowl. I think he'll be done. So I definitely think that Rapp will be, signing that extension and will definitely, stay there, long term. I want to say when we look at the rookie class, I know I wasn't really grouping in the rookie class as well. I think that, our first and second round rookies are going to, between Osiris Torrance and Kincaid, they are both going to be huge keys on this offense. I just don't know if it'll be there this year. I hope it is. I just get a little concerned with the way that our coaching staffs have developed players. They seem to bring them along a little slower. So we'll see how, they dive into to these guys and see whether or not they throw them out there, right away. If they do throw them out there right away, I can tell you by the end of the season, we're gonna see, who these guys really are, and I think that they're going to be keys.
I don't have really huge question marks on Torrance about being able to play physical football. I think that he just played in the SEC and did tremendously well against teams that had multiple defensive linemen picked in the first round and picked high. So with Torrance, it'll be more of a technical standpoint for me than it would be a physicality thing. I think we're going to learn about Kincaid really early because I think the way defenses are going to try him at the jump is they're going to put somebody in his chest and see if he can get off of physical coverage. If he can, then it's going to be sky's the limit for him and for this offense. But I think we'll find out pretty quick with him how he's going to progress, just because I think they will put hands on him and try to really play a physical style of defense against him.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing him develop, though. I think that that's one thing that, we're never really, patient about. You can kind of see it with Shakir last year. He was out there for a handful of games, for a handful of plays. I can't wait to see that process where, hopefully this year he gets out there more and actually, kind of puts a stamp on the team this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think that he's a key piece. I would love to see Gabe Davis have an all-pro type season, just due to the fact that he, again, best lifter in the offseason, works his tail off, and nobody has any faith in him.
Right.
I do. I think he's a good player. I think he has an opportunity to be really good. I think the addition of Kincaid, if he can produce, will not only free Diggs up, it'll also free Davis up. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it
Right.
goes. But I think he's
And
a better receiver than people give him credit for.
and I know everyone thinks that I give Davis a lot of shit, but to me, he is a very good wide receiver. He could be better than good though.
Right.
We've seen those spurts, and the problem is the consistency. We haven't quite seen him be good every week, and that's what we need in a number two. Because if not, then Diggs gets kind of lost in the fray. It's unfortunate the way that works out. If we don't get another number two, I really would love us to get a real number two. DeAndre, if you're out there listening, just joking. I know I would love him to come on board. I think that it would take the pressure off of what Diggs feels every week.
But is that what he wants? Is that what he wants? Because I think early on you're going to see. I think the biggest thing on our offense is going to be: does Josh Allen go through his reads, or is this force the ball to Diggs all the time? And if you listen to everything the way
that's the
it's
problem
talked
is that
about,
that's
we're
the
going
problem
to
though.
he's going to want the ball force. It's going to be if he doesn't get 15, 20 targets,
yeah. But you have half the
not be
media.
happy.
You have half the media saying that that's the problem, and you have the other half of the media saying it's the fact that we didn't go out and get DeAndre Hopkins, which, by the way,
I don't believe that. By the way,
well, one of the news reports that came out that was talking about it, and I don't even remember who was the one that posted it. But the news report that came out was that he did not want to use his money, or when he decided to restructure, he thought the money was going to go towards DeAndre. He had an automatic conversion, most likely. Where obviously none of us has seen his contract, but Bean likes to do that. He likes to roll it in. So there was no ask, no question. Hey, would you like to convert this so we can go out and get D-Hop? So that part was kind of bull crap. So, but Spence is just popped in, so let's get him in here. What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
What up, Spence?
So we were talking last night. We were supposed to go over this on your show, and we got so caught up to the last minute in your show, we completely forgot. So this was your question to ask, but now I'm going to ask it because I want to hear your opinion too.
Okay.
So with the new stadium being scheduled to be completed for 2026, who should be the first one or two players? I'll give you one or two because I have two, so I wanted to be able to cheat. So, and Spence, since you're the guest, go ahead, go first.
Well, the person who I've been kind of like campaigning for, I'm not gonna say because I know Jerry's gonna say this person's name as well. So I'm gonna go elsewhere. But I feel like there's quite a few guys actually who would be deserving of it. I'm actually gonna go in a direction that I feel like I don't hear people say too often, which would be leapfrogging one person, but it's only because I know Jerry's gonna go with that person. I want to clarify that. So I'm actually gonna say I think either Fred Jackson or I'm gonna go with Lee Evans. I think either one of the two has. First, let's start with Fred. I think Fred he just showed everything that Buffalo, when you think about Buffalo and all the positive stuff you want to think about. I think Fred Jackson brought all of that to the table. Undrafted player, did his thing, took over all the hearts and for everybody in Western New York. He ran harder than most guys who were drafted above him in that area. I think Fred Jackson definitely would deserve it. But Lee Evans, to me too, he was lights out. Like, he was one of those receivers that, like, he had a couple guys throwing to him that was worth it. But could you imagine like a Josh Allen having somebody like Lee Evans at this point?
Yeah.
Give me that offense.
I actually Spence completely and Lee would be a great choice. I completely forgot about Fred. That would have been
he's on my list.
Yeah, that would be that actually would be a good choice, and I would not have an issue with it. But to me, and we've talked about this, you know where I'm going with this. To me, there's only one guy right now that deserves his place on the Wall of Fame, and that's Ruben Brown. Ruben was a day one starter. was a day one difference maker. Lived in the Buffalo community for a long time, did a lot of charity work in Buffalo, did a lot for the kids, multiple Pro Bowls, and if not for the Greg Williams / Tom Donahoe regime, would have probably retired a Buffalo Bill and not been sent off to the Chicago Bears, which, I know Rube loved that because Rube got to hang out with Buddy Guy, who's like probably his favorite musician, and got to do a lot of stuff in Chicago that he enjoys. But just knowing the type of player that Ruben was, and knowing him and what the Buffalo community meant to him, I think it's a no-brainer. My 1B, or my second choice, if not Ruben, would be Eric Moulds. I think Eric had a tremendous career as well. Did a ton of stuff for the Buffalo Bills, embraced Buffalo like Ruben, and would also be a fine choice. But I think to me, there's no question, there's no debate. Ruben Brown belongs on the wall.
Well, I got to cheat a little considering Spence had told us the question the other day. So I really actually sat down and thought about it. And I actually brought up some stats. So my two players I had is Kyle Williams and then Fred Jackson. I knew who I knew who Big O was choosing. So Moulds would have been on my list, as well. I don't want to say who I would remove to put Moulds on that list, but Kyle Williams, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He played for the Bills for 13 years, 183 games. So a lot of people just loved Kyle and who he was and stuff. And then, when you go, when you talk about Freddie, everything that Spence said about he kind of just, exemplified Buffalo and, and who he was. And a lot of people don't even realize why he was in why he's in the Hall of Fame. He is the only player to ever rush for 1,000 yards, both as a running back and as a kick returner in the same season. So I think, little things like that, but he was also a Walter Payton Man of the Year recipient. I just, and he's one of those people that shows up to Buffalo still. So I think that I would love to see both of them on the wall.
And I will ask both of you this question: what is the other big tie of Fred Jackson to the Buffalo Bills? What is the other thing that makes Fred Jackson as a Bill special?
I don't know the answer to that because how you're framing it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fred Jackson went to College in Iowa, a small D3, also the alma mater of Marvin Levy. That is correct. So Marvin and Fred Jackson are both from the same school. So there's the connection there.
Let me ask you this, because Sarah kind of said it without saying it. Are we taking OJ off to fit one of these guys on? Is that why you said it like that, Sarah? Well, no, because you actually just said I'm not going to say who I'm going to take off to fit them.
Yeah, but I mean,
well, do we have to take somebody off, or do you just continue to add names, right?
Yeah, I mean, but there is a discussion when it comes to the new stadium whether or not OJ will go into the new stadium. I don't think you can. I don't think you can take him off the wall. I don't. I mean,
I think they need to put, instead of OJ, they need to put yours truly. Because if you ever watch OJ's videos on
hey Twitter World,
hey Twitter World, yours truly. So I think the way to get around it is you take OJ Simpson off and you put yours truly.
Yours truly. There you go.
I think that would be better. But no, I mean those are all fine choices. Sarah, I didn't even think about Williams. That's a good choice as well.
Yeah, Kyle is definitely a good choice. As far as OJ, I understand the conversation when it comes up, when people rightfully so are upset about certain things and want them taken off. I do feel that, a lot of the stuff that ended up happening because of the murders that took place in the early 90s, I think I'm not the guy. So like, for instance, I'm not the guy that's like, man, R. Kelly did all this wrong. I'm separating the music and I'm going to still play his music, but I'm going to hate him. I'm not that guy.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that Robert Kelly he wasn't one of the greatest R&B singers and writers and performers of all time. So in the same, I guess I bring it up to say the things that he did while he was a Buffalo Bill, it was phenomenal. And the performance, everybody knows, we all know all the talking points, 2,000 yards and all of this and stuff. We know all the talking points. The thing is, when he did that, he was a phenomenal football player. And I think he deserved to be on that wall. I wouldn't take him off. Now I didn't think it was right when they took his Heisman. I didn't think it was right when they did just whatever else that they did. Look, send him to jail. Just say he's guilty. Don't acquit him. Don't get fancy with
Right.
don't let Johnny Cochran get fancy with the glove don't fit. You must acquit. Send him to jail. But don't then
Right.
take away other stuff. Like the Wall of Fame has nothing to do with his personal life. This was all football stuff.
No, I agree with that. And and again, you can have your opinions, and we all do. At the end of the day, like you said, he was found not guilty. So
yeah. Well, we only really have one more thing kind of to go over with today. If you want to stay on, we were talking over the last couple of weeks about how a lot of the analysts have, kind of predicted the Bills record anywhere from a 14-3 season to a 9-8 season. So you want to go around the room, and what's your way too early record prediction for this year? Thinking about the schedule, and
I'm gonna go 13-4. But I will say it's shocking to me how quick. Not just that. Okay, I get it that some people might not put the Bills as Super Bowl favorites again this year. That's fair. But it is shocking to me to see how quickly the national media has kind of flipped on how good they think the Bills are, or how teams around us are. The gap last season, we won the division by 5 games,
4.
and I don't think that the Bills got worse. We lost Tremaine Edmonds, but I think that we improved in every other area or remained the same. So with that being the case, do I think Aaron Rodgers is a 6-game, is he going to close the gap 6 or 7 games that we had over the Jets? Do I think Jalen Ramsey is going to close the 4-game gap that the Miami Dolphins had? Or is Nick Van, is he that good of a defensive coordinator that I think they're going to close that gap? I think things are better, but I don't think that I'm going 13-4. Buffalo Bills are still going to be AFC East champions, still going to probably be the 2nd or 3rd seed. I don't think we're going to get one. I think that's still Kansas City until they prove us that it's not them anymore. But no, the Bills are still okay. We're legit.
I think that the thing that I look at is not necessarily the fact that the Bills have gotten worse. I think the Bills are still a very, very good football team and have improved in the offseason in many areas. But there's 2 things you got to look at. I think that last game against the Bengals and just how physically dominant Cincinnati was over the Bills, that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And then you look at this upcoming schedule. They got to play the NFC East, which is a tough division. Their own division might be the best division in football. I think they have a 12-5, maybe 11-6 record, but do win the East and are a better football team going into the playoffs than they were last year, just because they're much more battle tested. They've got a tough schedule by far. They play in Philly. Again, the Jets got better. The Dolphins are better. The Patriots are better. So if you have some injury issues, maybe you lose a game or whatever, but I just really believe that they won't maybe have the record they had this season, but they will be a better, more battle-tested football team as they hit the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with both of you, because I haven't been able to settle on a number between 12-5 and 13-4. I even, really thought about us splitting with the Dolphins and the Jets. Obviously, we're still going to beat the Patriots both games. There's no question about that in my mind. So I kind of looked at that, and then I looked at the fact that we play Cincinnati, we play Philadelphia, we play Kansas City. Those are the games that you kind of worry about really on when I look at the schedule. I do think we take 1 or 2 of those. Obviously, we tend to go into Kansas City and have no problems during the regular season. So it'll be interesting it being the end of the year. We haven't been there in December yet. It's always been like these, mid-October games when it doesn't necessarily matter as much. So now we'll have most of the season and it will matter. It will, be right before the playoffs, and seeding's going to matter. I think going into Cincinnati will be an emotional game. So you never know how that's going to play out between going back to Cincinnati and the fact that they beat the crap out of us in the playoffs. So, I look at it and say, yeah, it could definitely be a 12-5, 13-4 team. But when I look at the Jets and I look at the Dolphins, I think the gap is closed a lot, but I don't think it's completely closed. I think that they've gotten closer. So I believe I had the Dolphins at 11-6 and the Jets at 10-7. So I still have the Bills winning the AFC East, but I do have both the Jets and the Dolphins making it into the playoffs. So it'll be a very interesting playoffs this year.
I think it's going to be really important for Buffalo, and they have to have the mindset they have to protect home. They can't lose at home. You win your games at home, and then you know, because on the road is so tough, and everybody thinks this London game is going to be an easy game. This London game is going to be an incredibly tough game. Going overseas, playing in London, different time zones, all that stuff. That's not an easy game. You mentioned Kansas City in December, which is another miserable place to play. High winds, usually cold, tough stadium, loud. Yeah, I'm not supposed to say that.
You're not supposed
it's
to
really,
say that.
It's really balmy. It's really balmy. It's usually hot. I had to take an IV last time I was there in December. It was so hot. But no, I mean, you've got to win your games at home. You have to protect home field, and then you worry about everything else on the road because their road schedule is going to be very tough.
Spence is still laughing. For everyone listening, we were trying to convince Spence. Jerry and I are going to be, tailgating at the Kansas City game. We were trying to convince him to go, and he's like, "In December, it's cold." So.
The funny thing is that most people think that I joke around because I'm from Buffalo. So they think that I'm joking when I say that I don't like the cold. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona for a reason. Like I moved to the first or second hottest place in the country. I am not a fan of the cold.
All right.
But I will say real quick, Sarah, I'm shocked with I guess it's only by a game. You say 10-7. Look, I think the Jets are going to be 9-8. I just don't. I understand that Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. Like anybody who knows me, if you've listened to the Code of Conduct for the 3 years that has been in existence, you know that I am a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. At this point of his career, I get it. We just saw what Tom Brady did in his 40s, and we saw what Tom Brady was able to accomplish. But just because both guys were successful kind of during the same time, and just because Aaron Rodgers it doesn't mean he's going to repeat what Tom Brady did. No, I'm not saying you did, but I mean, like, I guess this is a word of caution for all my Jets fans that might be listening. Like, I understand your reason to be excited. It's Aaron freaking Rodgers. I get it. You got the biggest market in the country. Who doesn't love New York City? I get it. But I would caution against being so excited to think that Aaron Rodgers is going to come there and give you a Super Bowl in 1 year when, as great as he's been, as many MVPs as he's won, he only has one Super Bowl win, being this great Aaron Rodgers as it is. So I just want to caution Jets fans. I don't think that it's going to be the turnaround in one season like they think.
And with me,
the thing about the Jets. Good, sir.
Oh, I was just going to say, and with me, with the 10-7 and the 11-6, respectively, between the Jets and the Dolphins, I was saying it if they split the two games with the Bills. So if not, then they can definitely be 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jerry.
My deal with the Jets is Aaron Rodgers makes them legitimate because now you've got solid quarterback play. As good as that defense is, he doesn't need to be the Aaron Rodgers of old. He doesn't need to carry the entire team. I mean, that defense scares me. I mean, that defense with our running game not being what it probably needs to be, that defense makes us incredibly one-dimensional. With Sauce and others playing corner, they have the ability to shut down people. That's what scares me. You have a quarterback now that can make plays and is not going to make dumb errors like some of the quarterbacks they've had. And, then you put a world-class defense with them. That's what worries me.
So last year, and I don't have this off the top of my head, so I don't know how many games that he missed. But last year, Aaron Rodgers was 64 percent for completion percentage. He threw 3,695 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions for a 91 passer rating. That is something that you feel like is enough to help the Jets? Because I don't feel like the Jets now. Granted, they didn't have they pretty much had me playing quarterback last year, so I understand that this is an improvement. But it's still, I just caution people from thinking that Aaron Rodgers is the same Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's going to completely tank. They're not going to be 1-16, but I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is the upgrade that we're thinking he is. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong on this. I just don't see it.
It's that old the old song, nothing from nothing leaves nothing, right? And they've had nothing at that position, and now they've got a Hall of Famer. And as I've said, I don't think he has to be the Aaron Rodgers of old. He just has to stay out of his way and do what he does and let that defense eat, and they're going to be successful.
Yeah, I think that he only missed one game last year. I think it was a half a game because of his finger, and then maybe one more. I don't think, and I'm trying to think, I don't even know if he missed that whole game. I don't remember. Yeah. So
I guess that's what I'm asking. It's like if you're he started 17 games.
Yeah. So I think it was
guys, they beat us. They beat us with nobody playing quarterback last year.
What, the Jets?
Yes.
Yeah, that I've watched that game over again. I know that it's an adage that a lot of people don't like, but I kind of feel like we beat ourselves that game. So and then obviously if Gabe would have made a catch at the end, we wouldn't be having that conversation.
a home run catch on a desperation throw. Yeah.
No, it's not even just that. There's so many plays because I've watched that game now probably 6 times. Every time you go back and watch that game, you just see so many. Like normally, I'm the guy that say I hate when coaches talk and say we need better execution. But then when you actually go back and watch it, and I'm not talking about just that one play, but if you go back and you look at the execution of that game, there were so many plays that were either Josh didn't take what the defense gave him, really. He didn't take the check down just to pick up the first down, or he tried to do too much, or it's just those moments. And when you have a defense like that, you can't take those type of chances because you're gonna get the 2 interceptions that Josh got, like you're going to. So no, I'm with Sarah. I think that we beat ourselves that game, but they're a tough defense. They are. I just really don't think that Aaron Rodgers is the upgrade that everyone thinks that he is right now.
I mean, I'm hoping you're right. I really am hoping you're right. So
it feels dirty to say it though. It feels dirty.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to beating them both times again this year, or not again this year, because I can't stand the way Jets fans are being right now because it's annoying.
I laugh because sometimes I feel like it's like the skit on Saturday Night Live, right? If Rick Mears was driving an Indy car and Ditka was driving a bus, who would win in a race? Ditka, of course. It's Ditka, right? I have a lot of maybe I have too much belief in players in history and things of that nature. I don't know. To me, the guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and
Amen.
While he has declined from his prime, I think he's still better than Brady was at this age. I just do.
That's a take. That's a take.
I 2 years
I think
ago,
the Green Bay franchise has been a gong show for the last however many years. I really do.
But he's only 1 year removed from being the 2-time defending MVP. So
yeah.
You can't. I find it tough you can't say that the franchise has been that bad. You don't win MVP without some type of support.
Right, but he won a lot of that on his own. I really believe that. And that's why he won. I think that's why he won it.
That could be very true. And I'm not taking it from. I love
it's all, Aaron Rodgers. And you know me, Spence, I'm all about one player taking a bunch of really bad players and bringing them along to heights that they never thought that they could imagine.
And who never did that? Jordan never did that. Jordan never did that. Brian did. Brian took some horrible teams to the finals, man.
Here
They
we
didn't
go
win it.
I was talking about Aaron Rodgers. I wasn't talking about LeBron.
Yeah, I knew where you were going.
No, I think it's cool because we actually have something to debate. I mean, then you start talking about New England. Is are they, is Jones going to be able? They say he's getting better. They've gotten better this offseason. We still don't know about Hop.
But you know what?
If he shows up,
so if D Hop shows off, I still don't think they are more than a 9-win team.
I disagree. And I actually think that the Patriots can be a better team than the Jets.
I'm telling you, I like what the Patriots are doing. I really do.
I do too. They have an offensive coordinator who finally can call real offense instead of having a guy back there who should never have been calling offense. Mac Jones is not a horrible quarterback. No, he doesn't have an arm like Josh. He doesn't run like Josh, but he's an accurate guy. He's smart. They finally look. I know Bills fans aren't too happy about Juju. We don't like Juju. I don't have an issue with Juju. Juju's a very talented player. He's going to be a focal point of that offense, and we're going to see. Look, they got a good running back. You all know how I feel. You know how I feel about Ramondre Stevenson. Like, they have a good defense. The defense is always going to be good. I don't know. I think overall, if the offense makes any real improvement, and if they do get Hop, they absolutely can be better than the Jets. I really feel that way.
I still look at Mac Jones being the quarterback, and that's not a diss to Mac Jones of him being, a terrible quarterback. I just think he's the fourth quarterback in this division, no matter what. With him, I think that will D Hop make him better? Yes. Do I think D Hop will help them win a couple more games? Maybe one, maybe two. That's where I get them at 9-8. If they got D Hop. Mm-hmm. I think right now they're a 7-10 team.
Our division has three teams that are cold weather teams that don't have domes. And the other two teams to me have been built to win in December. I sometimes wonder about our running game and some of that. Are we built to win in December and into the playoffs, into January and into the playoffs? I sometimes wonder if we're built that way. And that's why I like the Jets. I'm not saying we're going to not beat the Jets both times, but I am saying people have to really sit back and look at them as true. I think they are contenders. And then the same thing with New England. Belichick didn't forget how to play football coach football when Brady left. They're still a good coaching staff. They're still a good franchise. And like I said, I think Jones is a much better game manager and a much better quarterback than people give him credit for.
I'm not dissing him completely. I think that he is going to get better, especially with Bill Bryan there as an OC. Now that he actually has an OC, I think he will get better. I just think that it's going to take time. And I don't think that he's ever going to be a top of, the AFC quarterbacks. And, I pray that I'm right, because I don't want another quarterback to deal with in this division right now. So
can I say something real quick? My man, Matt, shout out to Matt. I love Matt. I think he's trying to take a shot at Mac Jones by saying he's Chad Pennington.
Yeah. Chad Pennington beat us.
Everybody, he beat the Bills, and I do want to remind everybody that he led the Jets to the AFC Championship. I just want to make sure that everybody is on the same page here. Chad Pennington is. I love Chad, so I'm not going to let this type of disrespect happen on my watch.
It's not even.
Don't wear the jersey.
It's not even letting disrespect. It's just telling the truth. I mean, Pennington had a good career. He was a viable winning quarterback in the NFL. Was he a Hall of Famer? No, but just because you're not in the Hall of Fame doesn't mean you're not a good quarterback.
Yeah, he was a good quarterback. And I'm going to find both the Jets and the Dolphins jersey.
He said, not at all. I'm comparing their skill set. You better not wear that freaking jersey.
Who won't? Watch me wear it. I know. Watch me wear it. I will wear that thing.
We need to get him. We need to all pitch in and get him a Pennington Bills jersey, just a custom made one, so he can stop wearing.
I would never wear it. I would never
Dolphins wear it. And a freaking Dolphins and Jets one. All right. Well, that was pretty much it that I had for today. We went through it a lot quicker than we normally do. So, Jared, you want to take us out?
Sure. And as always, for Sara Larson, my man, Jay Spence the King, I'm the big O. Jerry Ostroski. You've been listening to Line to Gain here on the Buffalo Rumblings Network. And as we say every week, one love and go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.